Hi, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Today's surprise topic, drum roll, is the Great Wall of China. All right.
Oh, okay.
So we've seen the Great Wall of China in many pictures, and we've heard that you can see it from outer space. So
Hmm.
first question is about how old is the Great Wall of China? Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of years old.
I'm getting at least a million.
A million?
Hmm. It's older than we think
For
because
sure, but I didn't.
they had to start earlier.
Wow, okay.
So they started earlier than it was. I How do I explain this? Um, the idea of the Great Wall was originated before construction happens. So they had their idea, they had it developed. They didn't start construction right away. They started to figure everything out, but this was way older than what we think it is. And then once they started construction, that's kind of the time frame. They give us what is what dynasty? I forget. Um,
Whatever.
the Yin dynasty or something like
Wait, I'll
that.
go check one of my vases. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we learned about it in school,
Yeah.
but that is inaccurate because the time frame they gave us, it doesn't actually work with what they've actually built. I mean, we're talking about this massive structure, like you said, you can see it from outer space.
Yeah.
Um, and they completed it in that time frame. I do know, there are bodies in it and that kind of thing. They and it wasn't necessarily from the builders. They did have help with this, but there are bodies in it, mostly from bad guys, if you want to call it that.
Interesting.
If that makes
Okay.
sense.
All right. So was it, were they humans that built the wall?
Mix. There's a mix of species.
Ooh.
Hmm.
So a million years is older than probably China existed, like as we know it. Okay, because
Yeah.
it's my belief that our societies are much older than we've been taught. All
Yeah.
right. And I don't know how old anything really is, but was this the precursor to China, or was it a different type of society? Like, do we have a label for it? Anything like that?
I would consider a precursor because China is actually one of the oldest
Yeah,
countries in our existence.
yeah.
So it was a mostly a precursor. The Great Wall, now they tell you is meant to keep, the bad guys out, but it was actually going to help them travel. So they had better idea, well, they had a great idea like, hey, this is going to help us travel. It ended up changing course. So when they developed this a million years ago, that was their original plan. And then through time, it kind of changed
All right.
in
So instead of
focus.
building a road, they decided to build a wall.
Yes.
All right. Did they build it
There's
all by
more.
hand? What's that?
There's multiple reasons for it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Did they build it by hand, or did they have technology?
A mix, depending on what species you are. If you're human, you're doing it by hand.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Now, were the humans that worked on the wall, were they, let's say, kind of like us, or were they primitive like cavemen, or were they more advanced than us?
I'm getting that they're more advanced. Now they're limited because like we didn't have too many capabilities, but they did have more technology to help them. So, we think of like picking everything up by hands, a heavy wheelbarrow. They did have a little more technology to get that stuff picking up by hand. They did have to do that, but for the most part, everything to get to them was pretty easy. They also had a different system. So, because it was mixed species, depending on the species and the type of skills they had, they would work together to help each other. So it wasn't just like, oh, this person's going to do all the heavy lifting while I watch. They did work together to complete it. What is it? Now, your question was, why not just build a road? So there's multiple purposes to this. One, we don't talk about what's underneath of it. Two, we
Ooh.
only talk about, taking that passage on top of it. So there's multiple purposes to the Great Wall. That's why they built it as a wall/road.
All right, so what you're saying is there's something beneath it that we don't know about.
Mhm. And there's
So,
multiple passages. Now we think about the Great Wall as just a lot of rocks build up to get to that top point where people walk. Um, Two things: what's underneath of it, what's inside of it. They didn't just build a whole wall that's just made of rock. They were smart about it. There's something inside of it and underneath of
well, I would just love to know what that was.
it. All right, so underneath, so they're giving me images. I'm just trying to figure out how to translate it. All right, so underneath of it is one, an underground passageway. And then two is it's actually used today. It's more of a tram system. So for high ups and elites, they use this system. Nobody thinks about what's underneath. They paved it out, created this tunnel so that way they have easy access. So you are focused about the top, whereas what's happening underneath, they have their passageways. And your question is it used for bad stuff? Yes, it is right now. So it is, a big issue. They've been trying to change it, but it is being used for what you think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And what's
Um,
go ahead.
and then for the inside, it's actually storage. So they've taken away. Now people are like, why would you use it for storage? Well, I don't know what they're storing. So
Ooh.
it's more, I don't know how to explain this. It's like a barrier. So they've put a barrier around the inside of the wall. So they're storing something in it. The other part I'm getting about it is it's a power source. So there's different sections to the wall. Like I said, it's this long thing. Each area has different parts to it. So it's more complex than just a wall.
Wow. Okay. So it was built by the precursors to China.
Mhm.
And we're taught that it was built by hand and it took them hundreds of years, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they built it so that they could keep the attackers out. But really, I don't think that was ever even true. Like it was never a protection wall. Would you agree with that?
No, it wasn't. I mean, they show that they have these little areas where somebody could shoot out arrows or whatever they're using on the time frame, but it doesn't make sense and it actually gives them better access. And they've actually talked about this in multiple documentaries where it actually helps them get in.
Yeah.
So why was it built if it's just going to help the bad guy if that's what
Yeah.
it was meant for?
Right.
So logically, it doesn't make sense that that was the reasoning ever.
All right. So summarization, it was built for transportation. So it's kind of a partially a roadway system at
Mhm.
this point on the top, but underneath is a tram system that's secret, obviously. And then there's
Mhm.
storage on the inside. And
Mhm.
we'll call it the bad guys are the ones that really use the tram system.
Yes.
All right. And it's also a power source.
Mhm.
Now you had also said about the rumor about bodies being built into the wall, and you said most of them were bad guys.
Yes. So the wall, there are bodies in there. Um, It was done during, I don't know how to explain it. There was a lot going on, and so some of the bad guys at the time used it as their, place of hiding, because it was easier for them to say, oh, they tripped and fell on the wall being built, than, oh, why did I find this person out here?
Yeah.
So they used it as kind of like a cover story. So there are bodies in it that are unrelated to
Right.
building.
Okay. So this wall has been in existence a million years and it's still structurally sound.
Hmm.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Well, if you look at advanced technology, part of it is building. The stuff that we use for our buildings is not advanced, it's actually low grade.
Yeah.
And even if you look at, where is it? I think it's Brazil. They have a temple where the stone is cut so perfectly, not even tree roots can grow through it.
Right.
So how is this advanced civilization that doesn't have technology, from what we know, be able to build this when we can't even, get our
Yeah.
cement to keep trees from growing out of it? So they are more advanced than we are.
We can't even build a road without potholes.
Exactly. And we can't fix them either.
Yeah. So they had different materials and different building techniques and
Yes.
technologies. And
Mm,
it's really interesting. Do we know what other types of beings help make this road or wall other than humans? Like,
no,
we don't?
no.
Hmm.
There's a few different species.
Interesting. All
Yeah,
right.
so it wasn't just one. It was a few.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Anything else I should know about? Anything else we should know about the Great Wall of China that I haven't asked?
The bells, their warning signal, it wasn't meant for what we think it was meant for. So they're saying. So on the top they have these lookout towers, and when they describe those lookout towers, it's to warn people that the bad guys are coming. There is actually a separate reasoning from it. Um, it's warning, but it's not warning about that. They're not saying specifically right now. Um, Interesting. Okay. Okay. So what they showed me was the system. It is a warning system, but it was actually meant for um how do I say it? The better uh beings, they're coming to try and take it out. So what they did was they put in this warning system so that way they would know when to put up this force field. Like I said, they had a power source of some sort. When they used this power source, it created this barrier that you couldn't really get through. Um, but they didn't want it up all the time. It draws a lot of power, and then they wanted it to be inconspicuous. So they can only use it during certain times. So that's what the warning system was for.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting stuff. All right. Well, if you guys that are watching this have any questions, please put them in the comments. We'll try to address them in a future video. Thanks so
Yep.
much, Dee.
Of course. See ya.
Bye-bye.